What a freaking crazy day. The Canadian banks, if you experience fraud, turns out that you might not actually get your money back, which is crazy because the Canadian government can freeze our money. The Canadian banks can just take our money. Wild. You also have the first meeting where the premiers sit down with the prime minister to discuss coming together, which isn't a half bad idea given the fact that our country is kind of literally burning to the ground. I also have an inside source leak as to what is going on with Alberta, and we also have the CIA taking over the internet. Yeah, there's a lot to take a look at in this video, so I hope you stick around for the full thing. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I do want to encourage you all to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel. I don't just say it to be annoying. We are going to start off with the CIA. So Elon Musk took to X saying, uh-oh, they're watching you, because the CIA's official account says that the CIA has expanded its official presence on X. Make sure to follow the official CIA accounts for the latest agency news and updates. And so you can see one of the top comments from Asmon Gold is, does this mean Redditors are going to jail now? I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy what the world is coming to. You also have Air Canada is probably going to experience a massive boycott because, well, I said, what the heck is going on with, what the heck's wrong with Canada? Is there an all veterans flight? In response to this video where Air Canada says our first all 2S LGBTQLA plus flight was heartfelt celebration reflecting our unwavering commitment to the inclusivity and equality in the air and on the ground. So Air Canada thinks that it's important to have an all 2S LGBTQIA plus flight because we're the start of June. This is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You know, veterans get a day, but 2S LGBTQIA plus community gets an entire month and their own plane, their own all 2S LGBTQIA crew. Like, this is wild, man. I really don't know what's going on with Canada, but something's got to stop. Something's got to stop. Anyways, let's take a look at our next video with Canada Post and how they just are not doing a good job with negotiations. Canada Post rejects union's arbitration request. Go figure, huh?
New developments as we begin this week in the Canada Post contract dispute. Management, the company, the Crown Corporation, has rejected the latest request from the Union of Postal Workers to go to binding arbitration. Canada Post instead wants the union to send its latest offer directly to union membership for a vote. So Scott, once again, going to be tracking the toing and froing for us today.
It certainly is that, and both sides are calling for some sort of federal intervention, but for entirely different reasons, and this sort of takes this fight to a new level. And we're hearing from Canada Post has submitted what they called their final offer last week to the 55,000 postal workers, the CUPW, calling it their final offer. That included a signing bonus, a 14% pay hike over the next 4 years, but also they wanted to staff part-time workers on the weekend, a major sticking point between the two. At the same time, the CUPW was calling for their negotiations to a binding arbitration, saying that the process has gone on for too long with no results. Here's a bit of a statement coming out last night from the union saying a forced vote may fail to end the labor conflict and risks further division, prolonging uncertainty for all parties. Arbitration would end the labor dispute immediately and create certainty for all Canadians. But management at Canada Post saying that arbitration would take too long. It would take over a year, perhaps 18 months. And because of that, their precarious financial situation, it would be too long, and they wanted to resolve this issue a lot quicker than that. So to that end, Canada Post wants Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu to intervene and force a vote to the membership, bypassing the union itself. And CUPW has been in a strike position since last week. They were on a 32-day strike last November, so lots of eyes watching this, and now it's gone from an economic concern to perhaps a political concern, and we'll see that later today.
Okay, we'll be bringing updates, of course, as we get new information.
A political concern, eh? Oh my freaking goodness, man. It feels like Canada Post has just lost the confidence from the country. I mean, they are a sinking ship, and it sounds bad because I obviously don't want Canadians to lose any jobs, but at what point are we going to do what's best for Canadians? It's already been proven that Canada Post is causing a $1 billion deficit per year. They are losing $1 billion every single year. I mean, that is absurd. And they're taxpayer subsidized, right? That's coming from literally us. Our taxpayer money is going towards Canada Post to keep them in operation, even though they're losing $1 billion a year. That's insane. And so something needs to happen, either privatize Canada Post or stop subsidizing it. But yeah, man, it's just not good. It's just not good. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts and comments down below about the Canada Post situation. Now, before we get into the next story, I do have a message from today's sponsor. When I prepare my videos, I make sure that I know both sides of the story. That's why I use Ground News, and that's why I've partnered with them. Ground News is a website and app that pulls sources from thousands of different websites across the internet, organizes them by story, and shows you a visual breakdown of the political bias, ownership, and reliability. Take this story that's barely getting any attention to South Korea's bold arms deal to supply Canada with fighter jets and submarines instead of the United States. You'd think something like this would be on the front page, but apparently it's not. Ground News shows us that over 30 sources have covered the actual story. 67% of it is actually coming from the right. Left-leaning media outlets like CBC and Global News do cover the story, but they keep it surface level. Meanwhile, right-leaning outlets like 1945 dig deeper to point out the serious concerns about Canada's vulnerabilities. I actually found the story my favorite spot of Ground News, the blind spot feed, which is where I go to find out which side is or isn't covering the story. Subscribe to my link down in the description or use the QR code on screen to get 40% off the Vantage plan today. That's the exact same plan that I use. Thank you, Ground News, for sponsoring today's video. All right, we got to take a look now at what's going on with Alberta. So I did post this on X, and you're going to see this come true in the coming days, sometime this week. Leaked insider sources have confirmed that an Alberta referendum will take place in October during the municipal elections in Alberta. Get ready, folks. It is coming. And this is because, well, Danielle Smith has said if there's a citizens movement for it, if the people want it to happen, then it will actually happen. So just stay tuned to either follow-ups on this channel or the news cycle, because I mean, you're going to see it. You're going to see the announcement come very, very shortly, even maybe sometime later today. But I'd love to know you guys' thoughts and comments down below. Do you think that Alberta is going to separate? Do you think it's going to be successful? Let me know what you guys think. Next up, we're going to take a look at the meeting that the Prime Minister had with all of the premiers and what that entailed. Here we go.
I have not seen his seat. Hey, Dom. Good to see you, my friend. And Minister Hodgson as well is here. Thank you very much for joining us. And I want to welcome all of my colleagues, premiers around the table. Some new faces around the table for us, but many of them, and in particular Doug and Francois, we've been sitting around the table for a long time. Some of our constituents might say far too long, but I would disagree with them. But thank you and welcome everyone here today. Just a quick note, and I think Wab and increasingly Danielle would share our concerns, and everyone would provide our best wishes and our thoughts with the firefighters and all of those that are defending their communities throughout the northern prairie provinces right now. And I think what is happening with respect to how we are sharing resources across this nation, how we are sharing wildfire resources, whether it be the tankers that we have, the firefighters that we have, the military has come in and evacuated a couple of communities that were cut off. How everyone has come together, whether it be tankers coming from Quebec, resources from Nova Scotia, British Columbia, the Northwest Territories has provided resources, and a couple of years ago it was the tables were turned where the challenge was very much in the territories. Yukon, New Brunswick, as well as Alaska, Oregon, and Arizona are providing resources into Western Canada as well, which I think speaks to a broader relationship that we're all collectively working on as well. Many others around this table are consistently reaching out to the three of us to offer resources, and for that we're very grateful. And I think when we look back over the last 5 years or so, we have been able to provide those resources to other jurisdictions, and it's that ability for us to really be more than a sum of our parts in Canada that is the approach that I would hope each of us takes to these meetings here today. The Prime Minister has set out goals for us as Canadians to collaboratively work on.
Yeah, let's put some W's down in the chat for the firefighters, man. What they are doing, I mean, not just every year, but specifically this year, is absolutely incredible. And they deserve, I mean, just to be supported beyond belief. They are dealing with lack of resources. They're dealing with government and political mismanagement. And then they're also putting their lives on the line to fight these incredibly large fires. It's really heroes. Firefighters right now are heroes in Canada. All first responders, the entire teams, aside from the politicians that are affiliated with fighting the fires right now and evacuating people, the emergency response, everyone that's involved to any capacity, man, shout out to all of you. Like, put some W's down in the chat for that, man, because that's some real freaking hard work what they're doing.
For us to have the strongest economy in the G7 nation, for us as Canadians and as a country of Canada to become a global energy superpower. And I think when we look at the collaboration in which we come together to protect our communities, our homes, and our families across this nation, year in, year out, we approach this conversation today and for the weeks and months and years ahead in building towards those goals of strengthening that economy so it is leading the G7, strengthening our opportunity and providing an opportunity for us as Canadians to become a global energy superpower. Canadians will be well served by the work that we collectively are doing here today. And so to my premiers, 13, myself and 12 others, that collectively do represent all Canadians. And to our Prime Minister and our federal ministers that are here, I welcome you. I thank you for bringing this meeting together here today, Prime Minister. I think it is truly an opportunity that lies at the feet of not only the federal government, but each of us as subnational leaders to unite this nation and to really seize the opportunity that I see before us as Canadians. So thank you.
One heck of an intro.
Thank you very much, Premier. I said this last night. I'm going to make a habit of it. I'd like to just follow you all the time in making remarks because I just want to reinforce everything the Premier just said. It's absolutely correct. And
I might have to form a new party.
Yes, that's true. There maybe not every single time, but on issues of nation building and cooperation, without question. Thank you for the great.
I will say, man, I know this is going to be unpopular to my audience, but I will say that the relationship that Carney seems to have with the premiers is significantly better than the relationship that Justin Trudeau had. By no means is this me blowing smoke up Carney's butt and saying, hey, he's doing a great job. By no means. He still has to prove himself, right? And he does carry baggage, even though it's not 30 freaking years of political baggage the way Justin Trudeau brought to the table. He still has to prove himself. He carries significant baggage. But all that being said, man, you can see the way that he's talking with other premiers. He's not as aggressively toxic as what Justin Trudeau was. And it's refreshing to shift away from the left and move a little bit more towards the center. I know he carries a whole bunch of stuff, the Century Initiative, blah, 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 blah. Then who cares about that right now in this point? The point I'm trying to make is we're not dealing with a drama teacher princess anymore, which is actually a breath of fresh air. I ain't saying Carney's the man for the job. He's got the job. He's got to prove himself. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice to shift away from Trudeau. It's not the team that I would have wanted to win, but it's nice to shift away from Trudeau. Have we even acknowledged that, by the way? Has everyone even fully processed the fact that we don't have Justin Trudeau representing us anymore? Like, the election came, it happened, we lost, we feel defeated. But seeing Carney do these talks with premiers and actually represent Canada, look, I know chances you're watching this, you don't like the guy. But have you even processed the fact that we don't have Trudeau anymore? Like, that feels good. That feels really good. I know there's, the whole rhetoric of Carney could be worse, but whatever. At least it's not Trudeau anymore. It's not as bad as Trudeau.
Saskatchewan hospitality on very short notice. It was really only a month ago that we spoke and struck the date for this meeting, and under challenging circumstances. And just reiterate the Northern Prairie provinces, the challenges of the wildfires that are raging, and the cooperation that we're seeing across the provinces, across Canada. Volunteers, the Canadian Armed Forces, help from some of the Americans as well. 30,000 evacuees, and bravery and charity, the best of Canada being shown. 40 years ago was the last time there was a First Minister meeting in the province of Saskatchewan. It was in Regina then. Prime Minister Mulroney had convened it. One of the conclusions of the meeting was that they should meet again. Always a little suspect, and here we are. The conclusion was the First Minister should meet on an annual basis. Certainly more than exceeded that. And I think it's a testament that both for First Ministers, but very importantly, supplemented, if not superseded, by the Council of the Federation and your leadership, Doug, bringing together the provinces to help build this country. Back in 1985, it was the run-up to what would then be the free trade agreement with the United States, and a long process of integration that brought great prosperity to both our nations, culminating in the best trade deal ever. As someone once called it. Some call it USMCA, we call it CUSMA. But that situation, as we all know, has changed. We're in the process of redefining our relationship with the United States. That's ongoing. Mr. LeBlanc and others leading those discussions, but working very much in partnership around this table in terms of our priorities and how we're defining it. But also taking matters very much into our own hands, parce que nous sommes maîtres chez nous. Nous pouvons contrôler notre destin économique, notre destin de sécurité. And that's what this meeting is about, building a stronger Canadian.
Je parle un petit peu de français. D'abord, je suis bilingual. There you go. That's what he did. That's what he did. He said 2 words in French. He said 2 words in French to check the quota. That's hilarious.
Canadian economy, building one Canadian economy, and I really want to salute the leadership around this table. I can't keep up with the flurry of announcements of free trade agreements between provinces and across the country. The federal government will do its part, tabling legislation very shortly to eliminate federal barriers to interprovincial movement of goods and people, and also to put in place an ability to advance projects of national interest. And again, we have seen the leadership around this table of developing truly nation-building projects. And this is just the start. This is just the start. And it's what Canadians expect and what they deserve.
I hate the fact that these politicians are now all jumping on board with the intra-provincial trade barriers. It's like it's the new hot chick at the bar. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, I want to talk about it. I want to go talk to her. The Liberal government had, and this is where the criticism towards our government plays a factor, right? Carney wasn't the prime minister. He wasn't a politician at this time. But all of his MPs were, most of them, especially his cabinet. During the coup, it was a global health emergency. We had one here in Canada. It was a health emergency. And we had a real opportunity to break down intraprovincial trade barriers through services, right? When people think of intraprovincial trade barriers, they're thinking of goods like liquor, oil and gas, lumber, whatever it is. Yeah, that's a key role in solving a lot of our problems in Canada. But it's also our services, such as our healthcare workers. If you get accredited in British Columbia, let's say, as a nurse, it's very difficult to then just move to Ontario and be a nurse there. You have to go through requalifications. You have to pay money to a board to stay certified every year just because you're working in a different province. It's absurd. It's insane. And that doesn't even include the people that are coming into Canada, let's say from America, 20-year nurses, right? Or paramedics or whatever, that their credentials aren't recognized in Canada. So they have to basically either go back to school or go through a whole bunch of hooplas to then continue working here. that was the best opportunity during the COOF to break down interprovincial trade barrier services and say, you know what, we're just going to expedite a Red Seal type of certification for healthcare workers because this is a healthcare thing that's going on. They didn't do it. That would have been the best time. And I hate to be stuck in the past because I don't want to be dwelling on this forever, but why weren't they saying it then? Why are they only saying it now? Right? Even the conservatives have only been saying it for like a couple of years. Nobody was saying it in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. Nobody was saying it then. Maybe they were, but it wasn't as popular as what it is now. And I could be corrected easily down below in the chat if anyone has noticed any politicians on either sides in Canada been saying this specific thing for that long. But it just pisses me off a little bit because it's the new hot topic in Canada. Oh, you're solving interprovincial trade barriers. You're the hero. And it's like they had the opportunity to do it. What's different from then to now? That was the best time because it was an actual healthcare emergency. They could have easily just swiped their emergency powers and done it. It just shit like that about politics really pisses me off. People wait for the best, most opportune time where people are desperate for something, and that's when they deliver. Not when people actually need something, right? It's like watching somebody drown until they are almost dead, and then you save them. You better thank me. You better thank me. That's just what politics feels like sometimes, especially with the Liberals.
En mars, à notre première rencontre, nous avons décidé le commerce et la mobilité. The coming weeks and months will be critical, really, to turn the momentum that's been created by you around this table, that the federal government is looking to add to translate that momentum, those ideas into action. But I'm very confident with the experience, the expertise, the goodwill, and the support of Canadians that we will do just that, including through the leadership of the Council of the Federation. And with that, I will turn to Premier Ford.
That's great. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Prime Minister.
Oh, I'm going to get in trouble for this. But up next is the fat pig with rabies mentality for trying to start an economic war with America by threatening to cut off the power to 1.3, 1.4 million homes. Go F yourself, buddy. Go F yourself. And screw all the media for reporting on me and David Eby, who I fully endorse, by the way, for saying that I'm a right-wing extremist for calling out the fat pig with rabies mentality. Don't forget the mentality part. Mentality. For wanting to do that.
For bringing us all together, and I want to thank you, Scott, for hosting us. What a great host. We've had great discussions since last night, and we'll have further discussions how we can be more resilient country and coming together. I always say united we stand, divided we fall. We're going to have great discussions.
Like a pig in the mud, you run and you crawl.
I know Canadians want hope, they want prosperity, they want opportunity, and I feel if everyone cooperates and collaborates, we're going to make that happen. We'll make it happen, as you were saying, Scott. We will be a superpower when it comes to energy of all forms, and that's our goal today, to make sure that we have large national infrastructure projects that will benefit every Canadian from coast to coast to coast. And again, I just want to thank everyone for joining us. I look forward to having you in July over to Ontario, and get a couple cigars ready, Dom, because you took off from us last night. But we look forward to hosting you there, and thank you everyone for joining us.
Yeah, when you compare what Scott Moe from Saskatchewan said to what Doug Ford said, it's not even freaking comparable. I mean, it's just bizarre, man, how Doug Ford is getting away with being a liberal in a conservative party. It's very, very annoying. I don't think that there's a politician in Canada that I detest more than Doug Ford currently. Like, Jagmeet's not around to take the brunt of that stick, right? How nice is it to not have Jagmeet around either, right? Isn't that a freaking treat? Carney, I don't like Carney. But I think I dislike Ford more than I dislike Carney, because it feels like Ford played a critical role in Pierre not winning that election, because he kind of endorsed Carney and not Pierre, which is bizarre. But hey, let bygones be bygones, right? Fat pig with rabies mentality. All right. Next up here, we're going to take a look at this weird Canadian story of a bank in Canada is blaming a customer for $20,000 in credit card fraud. The bank is blaming the customer for fraud instead of the customer saying, hey, I got money stolen from me. Anyways, let's take a look at the story, because this is kind of weird.
Jordan Judge wasn't expecting two charges totaling nearly $20,000 on his Scotiabank Visa card last fall.
Well, it was definitely astonishment.
An almost $18,000 charge to a British university he'd never heard of, more than $1,800 to someone he didn't know.
I wasn't worried at the time because I knew it wasn't my charge and I couldn't be held accountable for it.
Or so he thought. He disputed the charges, but Scotia pinned the blame on him, saying evidence suggests he must have disclosed one-time passwords sent to his phone. Judge did receive one password needed to approve that $18,000 charge, but it said do not share with anyone, so he insists he didn't. This lawyer and consumer advocate says the bank can't just say Judge is liable.
One would like to see more in terms of actual evidence demonstrating that the customer was negligent rather than an assertion.
Credit card customers are supposed to be protected under the Bank Act, which sets the maximum liability for unauthorized charges at $50, unless a customer is grossly negligent with their personal information. A cybersecurity expert read the letter Scotiabank sent to Judge and says they don't provide proof their customer did anything wrong.
The bank has provided no evidence of any logs or any sequence of events that has been timestamped or reviewed in any way.
And while Scotiabank insists that texting a password has a proven track record in mitigating fraudulent activities, Popa disagrees.
It's vulnerable to a number of different types of compromises.
The university behind the $18,000 charge says the bank never contacted them, but after GoPublic reached out, it reversed the charge. And after repeated inquiries from GoPublic, Scotiabank quietly reimbursed the other charge and all the interest. While things end well for Judge, the cybersecurity expert says in the face of rising fraud, financial institutions need to do a better job of investigating and providing clear evidence before claiming the customer is to blame.
Yeah, this is mental. I actually listened to, I don't know if it was Kevin O'Leary's advice. It was somebody else, some billionaire's advice of never carrying a debit card. I only carry credit cards. My family only carries credit cards because of fraud. Because if you get money taken out of your debit account, it's very, very hard to get that back, like fraudulently taken out. Now, if there's a fraudulent credit card charge, it's a lot easier because the credit card companies, that's their money, right? It's borrowing money from them essentially. And it's crazy now to see that they're saying, well, you know, it's probably your fault. It's probably your fault. $20,000 to a credit card company for, I mean, I get if it was like $250,000 or something that was in six figures, right? Like way up there in price. Then the credit card company would be like, okay, well, let's take our time with this, because that's a lot of money to just refund and try to reverse that charge, right? And let's do our due diligence properly. Like, there's levels to investigations, but for 20 grand, you would think that they would be a little bit more receptive of the fact that that dude wasn't the one that made that charge. It's freaky. It's freaky to see that the government can freeze our bank accounts, as we've seen, and we kind of unfortunately continue to see. Also, the person behind the freezing of the accounts is now our prime minister. So, hey, we're off to a good start, Canada. But now it's even freakier to see that because of just cybersecurity and hacking and stuff like that, that our personal credit card information can be taken, used fraudulently against us, and it's almost impossible to get that money back. I mean, what's the point? What's even the point of being in Canada at this point, right? Does anyone feel that way? Not to sound like a doomer, but it just feels so defeating. We have insanely high taxes. We have low wages. We have insane amount of crime. Criminals get treated better than law-abiding citizens, it seems. Unaffordability through the roof, and the fact that the government can just take our money, take our land, and throw us in jail without any real reason. It's kind of scary times. That, ladies and gentlemen, concludes the video. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments about any of the topics that were covered. If you enjoyed this video, it'd be super awesome for you guys to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in another video. Bye for now.